Right, nearly infallible history of Christianity, part 2. We'll see how far we get with this one. Hopefully not as long as yesterday. As the conflict with the Jerusalem temple authorities shows, some Jews reacted badly to all this, but not all Jews, of course, because these first followers of Jesus were Jewish, and they carried on with many Jewish practices, going to synagogue, praying at the set times, eating ritually clean food, feeling guilty, phoning their mothers regularly, etc. This was to cause conflict once non-Jews started to adopt the faith. But Jesus' first followers did not know that they were starting a new religion. They thought they were fulfilling the old one. Indeed, the relationship of Christianity to Judaism lies behind much of the writing of their most influential early thinker, Paul of Tarsus. You get these little inserts like this, where little fact sheets about different people. So the first one is about Paul. I will just read you this fact file on Paul. This engraving is from a 3rd century medallion. Presumably this must have been after one of his shipwrecks, as he appears to have some kind of squid attached to his jaw. Okay. Name, Paul of Tarsus, aka Saul. Nationality, Greek-speaking Jew from Cilicia. Dates, circa 1 to circa 68. Don't know. Appearance, bald, bandy-legged, monobrowed, hook-nosed. But apart from that, curiously attractive. Before he was famous, tent maker and rabbinic student. Famous for letter writing, planting churches, and being very hard to understand. Why does he matter? Defined many of the fundamental theological ideas of Christianity. And could you have a drink with him down the pub? Definitely. Or he would probably try to convert someone, and there might be a fight. Okay. Let's look at the bandy-legged, monobrowed angel. Paul's life is a microcosm of the transformative power of early Christianity. He was born in Tarsus, a cosmopolitan city on the south coast of Cilicia, in what is today Turkey. He was a Roman citizen by birth, and a tent maker or leather worker by trade. His family were Orthodox Jews, and Paul went to Jerusalem and studied under Rabbi Gamaliel. Not literally, obviously. Now, although, having said which, the life of rabbinic students did involve copying their teacher closely. There is an account of one rabbinical student who followed his master so closely that he actually hid under the bed of his rabbi and his wife. When the rabbi protested, the student said, "But this is Torah, the law, and I must learn it." It's certainly an approach that would make the TV show The Apprentice a lot more interesting. Anyway, soon after the Pentecost experience, the Jewish authorities lost patience with this new sect. Riots broke out, and one of their number, a Greek-speaking Jew called Stephen, was killed. Paul was part of this persecution, but then his life changed. On the way to Damascus to close down a new Christian group there, he was hit by a kind of spiritual speed camera. A light flashed around him, and he heard the risen Jesus saying, "Why do you persecute me?" This Orthodox Jewish persecutor of Christians became the leading apostle to the Gentiles. Another little occasional cartoon like that, caption, Paul looking up into the light and saying, "I swear, officer, I was only doing 35. Okay, this is Paul initially mistaking the cause of the supernatural event. His background fitted him perfectly for missionary work. He was a Roman citizen from a Greek city who was trained as a Jewish Pharisee. His first language was Greek, but he spoke Hebrew and had studied Torah, the Jewish law. He had other important qualities as well, notably an irresistible passion, drive, and sheer bloody-mindedness, and an ability to endure a large amount of personal violence. He had the talent for getting into hot water. That is the sign of the true radical. Unusually for these apostolic figures, we may even know what he looked like. An early church story called The Acts of Paul and Thecla is a made-up story, but it contains a portrait of Paul that is so unflattering it may well be original. Paul, a man small in size, bald-headed, bandy-legged, well-built, with eyebrows meeting, rather long-nosed, full of grace. For sometimes he seemed like a man, and sometimes he had the countenance of an angel. After his conversion, he didn't go to Jerusalem to consult any of the embryonic church leadership, probably because he realised that the authorities would not be hugely delighted that he had joined the enemy. Or maybe his bandy legs were giving him trouble. Instead, he went to Arabia for a few years, which means the region around Damascus, rather than somewhere on a great big sand dune eating Turkish delight. We don't know much about what Saul got up to, but it seems to have made him some enemies, because he was forced to flee Damascus in the night, escaping over the wall in a laundry basket. Hence the origin of the phrase, he got clean away. Oh, dear. After 3 years, he finally went to Jerusalem, where he met Peter, James, and the other leaders of the church. Unsurprisingly, they were nervous. But Paul was vouched for by Barnabas. Once this meeting was over, he did what he did best. He got into trouble. Acts records that he went out from the meeting and started speaking boldly with the Hellenists. These were Greek-speaking residents of Jerusalem, the immigrant community, in fact. It was not what he called a success. The Hellenists responded to Paul's message by trying to kill him. So, Paul was encouraged to leave Jerusalem by the rest of the apostles. He went north, back to Tarsus for a while. Okay, 6 minutes, that's enough.